everybody, Chris Burns here, back with another video. Welcome. You guys have been literally killing it on all my videos that I've posted. We are averaging roughly about 200 plus views every video, which is just great because I wasn't doing that good before. So you guys are enjoying what I'm putting out, and I'm enjoying that you're enjoying what I'm enjoying, which is making manga and all anime stuff. Like, it's fun. I appreciate it. We are moving up slowly but surely, and things are doing good. I'm good. I'm happy. I'm very happy. But for today's video, aside from my happiness, we're going to be talking about people of color in anime and manga, but specifically more so gearing it towards manga because I want to talk to you guys about my experience of studying and what I'm trying to incorporate, but also the correct way to do this, just in case there are artists out there that want to incorporate people of color. And that might not be a person of color yourself. You know, I want to give you some kind of advice on do's and don'ts of adding people of color to your manga series. Okay, so people of color in manga, why should you have them? You know, because there's a lot of people in the world that I recently have just seen that think that people of color should not be in anime and manga at all, which is crazy because that's not how the real world is. There is not one ethnic group in our world, in our society today, that is just over the whole globe and there's no other race. There's tons of people of color. There's Hispanics, there's African Americans, there's Africans, there's Middle Eastern people, there's Indian people, there's Native Americans. There's so many different diverse groups of people that are not pale or Asian that surround our planet. So when you're creating your worlds, you should think like that. You know, regardless on if your main character is ethnic or not, they have to incorporate people from around the world, because even if it's an alternate reality, there is no way that there is one ethnic group that surrounds the whole planet. You know, like if you really want to get your readers involved worldwide and you want them to love your story, the best way to do that obviously is write a good story, but the best way to do that is to incorporate people that look like them. Because if I'm a person of color that's reading a manga that's surrounded in a world that is not really related to me, it's like, yeah, it could be a good story, yeah, it could be fun, it could be really exciting, but at the end of the day, like, I can't cosplay that person. I can't really pretend to be them as a kid, you know, because like at the end of the day, I know like they don't really look like me. And you know, that shouldn't be like to deter people, like, you know, don't cosplay people that don't look like you. That's not what I'm saying. You can cosplay whoever you want, but just as a kid, you know, it's hard to really dive in and get connected with a character sometimes. So that's what I'm trying to say. You know, you want to try to be diverse. You want to try and incorporate people from around the world in your story, even if it's not necessarily the same name as the race in our world. If it's, like I said, if it's an alternate like story world kind of thing, but you do want to do it. Which moves us to our next, you know, topic, which is what can it accomplish? So when you're drawing people of color or creating people of color for your series, you don't want to go in with that mindset of like, how can I do this? Like, how can I do this to appease this specific group of people? You should never go into it like that. You should be making characters because you want to make characters, and it should feel genuine. It should not feel forced. It should not be, oh man, we got to add a black character in this to get black people to read it, so let's make this black guy, you know, rap. That should not be your first thought. It should not be, let's make a stereotypical black character or stereotypical Native American or Hispanic character to appease a specific group of people. It should be, let's make a cool character, just like you would anything else. Let's make a cool character that has A, B, and C powers or A, B, and C responsibility that just so happens to be of this ethnic group of a person of color. That's how you should be writing your characters. So how do you do it? This brings us to the next one. How do you do it? Well, research. If you're not a person of color, you know, and you want to incorporate different ethnic groups of people of color, research. Find out what their background is. Find out what their history is. If you're writing about someone that's, you know, African American and you don't know a lot about African American history, go research some African American history. See where, you know, where all of the history behind that, you know, ethnic group came from, and then try to start creating a character based off of that rather than based off what you know from pop culture and media. Because if you go off based of pop culture and media, number one, the character is going to be really, really shallow. Number two, it's going to be very stereotypical. And number three, the audience isn't going to connect well. It's going to be rejected and your brand is going to be slandered. slandered upon your brand, people. So don't do that. Okay, so on the screen you could see that I'm drawing a person of color. Regardless of that, her name is Julie Alvarez. She is a Hispanic character that's making her appearance in book 4 of my series Chikara. She is actually the 4th Hispanic character that has made an appearance in the series so far. The first one being Diaz, being Venezuelan, and the second being the twins, Lupe and Lupita, of being also of Hispanic descent, specifically Mexican descent. But Julie Alvarez is also based off of Mexican descent and Mexican heritage, as you can tell by her color palette. Is based off the Mexican flag. So when saying this, like I said, you want to make, when you're making characters that are people of color, you know, rule of thumb is whatever race you are picking to try to draw from, research that culture first, and then come up with characters based off of your research and what you have found. Guys, I think you will do amazing if you take this advice and you use it from now on. Do not feel intimidated by creating people of color in your manga and anime. You know, like I said, it should just be another character that happens to be of this racial background or of this skin complexion. Because yes, in some cases there are characters that are of a specific ethnic group that are lighter than others. Like I said, Lupe and Lupita are Mexican, but they're very light skinned. And that is because, you know, there are light skinned Hispanic people, but also they're based off of my friends in real life that are light-skinned Mexicans. But that's not excluding that there are, you know, more darker skinned or brown skinned Mexicans. Case in point, Julie Alvarez. They're of the same culture, same race, but she's just a little browner. She's just a little bit browner than, you know, them, but they're the same people. So it's, you know, it's fun. And once you get into this mindset of just making characters, but, you know, they just so happen to be, like I said, African American, maybe Native American, Aboriginal, African, Nigerian, whatever the case may be, you guys will start coming up with some really cool characters, really cool character designs, and the people will see that you genuinely have a love for creating these characters that represent other ethnic groups. And therefore, you will grow in a fan base that you probably would have never have thought before. And, you know, people will see that you're genuine. People will see that you're great. And other than that, guys, that's just my information on how to adapt people of color into manga and anime. You know, they're just people. At the end of the day, they're just people that happen to be of color, and they're in manga. And that's how you should think about it. So anyway, guys, make sure to like and subscribe. We are doing great. Like I said, I'm loving all the support, you guys. And other than that, guys, I will catch you later. Peace.